to learn.
Great, great. Next.
Hi, my name is Manju. I have around 10 years of experience in Java, but I have a career gap of around 6 years, so I would like to switch into testing.
Okay, great. 10 years of Java. That's a good number, honestly speaking. That's great. Next, please. Last 2 more minutes, guys. Quickly jump in and
Hello,
introduce. Hi.
my name is Vijaya.
Hi,
I
Vijay.
worked in software testing industry for 10 years. Then I had a good 10 years of gap. Currently, I'm in Germany
Okay,
and I want to again get into the industry. So I
that's
thought of now going in this direction of having automation and Java and then obviously testing concepts.
great. Great to hear. After 10 years, you want to restart your career. That's super amazing. It's like a super motivation to hear. For the people who are having career back, it will be like a super inspiration and super motivation.
Yeah, thanks. I hope I'll get back.
You will be back. Don't worry. You'll be back.
Thanks.
In Germany, it is. You will be definitely back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Next, please. Last 1 minute to go. Quickly introduce
My
yourself.
name is Subramanya. I'm from a non-technical background and I live in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Last one more person, please.
Yeah. Hi, this is Sharonan. I due to automation.
Okay, great. So I request everyone to rename their names in the Zoom so that I can call you properly. That's one humble request from my side. Okay. Till my presentation opens up, one more person can introduce.
Vinash, I'm having like nine years of experience in testing, and I'm working in Bangalore Memnier system.
Oh, great, Avinash. Good to know. Okay, guys. So let me get started. Just confirm me in the Zoom chat box that you're able to see the screen or not.
It's visual.
Great. So I assume that 80 to 90% of the crowd are from technical background and 10% are from non-technical background. That is my assumption that I have. And for the people who have joined, you can quickly type in your introductions like your name, your place, where your IT or non-IT background. If you are in IT, which company. So I just want you to drop in your introduction in the chat box so that I'll get to know from which part of the country you're attending the session or which part of the globe. So since we all know, for the people who are into non-IT background or something like that, what is testing? We will discuss this point later for a while, but because majority of the crowd knows what is testing. So why automation testing is important? Before that, I want to get some answers from you. What is testing? In terms of software industry, what do you mean by testing? Can anyone throw some insights on it? What do you mean by software testing? You can unmute and speak this. You can unmute and answer your question. What do you mean by software testing? If a small kid who is having 10 years, how do you explain software testing to him or her? For a kid who is having 10 years of experience.
When you try to see whether the software is working as per the requirement given by the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
to confirm whether the software is meeting the expected condition.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To
So how
make
about
Identify any defects in the application in case.
Sorry?
Identify any defects in that changes or application.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or for kids to explain whatever you promised, are you delivering that?
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. If the software is doing what it wants or what it should, deliver quality products with minimum defects. Great, guys. I want a couple more answers to this question so that everyone can have their views on what is testing.
to ensure whether
my
the
view,
application is working as expected.
Okay. Someone else also was trying to say. So you can tell me what you mean by testing. Great. Reduce the
so
repeated.
it is
Reduce the.
like finding bugs, find
Okay.
them as early as possible, and make them fixed. That is software testing.
Great, great, great. So I hope everyone is on the same platform, like what is software testing all about. Now, the testing is important or not? Software testing is very, very much important, very, very much evident, because the developers will develop the code as per the business requirements, as per the SRS documents. But we are the ones who have to certify whether the product is good to go for live or not. Because if you release an untested product into the market, it is just like releasing an untested drug into the market, where it can create a chaos amongst all the human beings. Similarly, it will create a chaos in the software industry, because it can lead to financial impact, financial leakages, and all the stuff. So that is why software testing is very, very much important. Though people say that software testing is a very easy job. So if you fail, it's a very easy job. Why do you need expertise in testing, in people who are experts in testing? So software testing is the most important process, that is as good as equivalent as development. That is what I'm gonna say about software testing. So we have discussed a lot about software testing. Now, the next question that is always buzzing in everyone's mind: why automation testing is gaining importance? Why automation testing? You told software testing is amazing, super. Now, why automation testing is coming into the picture all of a sudden? Why it is buzzing a lot? Can you tell me why the word automation testing is buzzing a lot?
Because it reduces the manual efforts.
Sorry?
To reduce the manual efforts of testing
Okay.
and hours of work to
Hours
save
of-
some cost
To
for the client.
reduce the repeated testings.
You reduce the repeated test case. Great. Anything else?
Reduce the complexity of the errors.
Reduce the complexity of the errors. Okay, Anand. Yeah. What else?
Same, we can do repetitive tasks.
Yeah, do. Anand, your voice is very low, or I'm unable to get your voice. Could you please check your mic?
We can, are you audible here?
Okay, Anand, still I couldn't get you. That's fine. Accuracy, recurring process can be automated. Great, great. So everyone are on the same page or on the same way. Like, it reduces manual efforts to avoid human errors. Accuracy, recurring process can be automated. Time reduction. So all these things. Because I'll tell you, in the today's world of software testing, everyone wants the software to be tested and released quickly. Because gone are the days where we have 3 years or 4 years of time for developing the whole product, certifying the whole product, and releasing to the client. Max to max, we get an year or a year and a half to release the product into the market. I hope this is the situation for most of the people here, that you'll get a very less amount of time to test the software in today's era, because everyone wants the product to be ready quickly in an instant. And I don't even give much of a time to test the software clearly. I hope this is a situation for some of the people who are present here. The testing timelines are very crunch, and you have very less time to test the product, and you have to deliver a quality product. So that is where automation comes into picture. That is why automation testing is gaining much importance, because it reduces time, saves a lot of recurring efforts, saves the repetitive time on the repetitive task, and all this stuff. Now the next thing. By this image, what can you infer, guys? By this image, what can you infer? I just want to know your views about automation testing, and what are your perspectives about automation testing. That is how we establish your thought process with respect to automation testing here, guys.
Automation testing saves a lot of time.
Okay.
Automation tester is relatively free.
And
Okay.
human efforts also.
Sorry, Karnakar.
It's reduce the human effect, like
But can automation testing replace manual testing 100%?
Give me 2 minutes. I'll answer that question.
Thank you.
So first, I want all of you to answer what you understand from this image. Don't say which is good, which is bad. Yeah. Tell me, Sujata.
No, my name is Sarita, but I'm saying is automation is a one-time effort.
Okay, automation is a one-time effort. Great. Yeah. How about others? Okay. No one else would like to answer. Okay. That's fine. So we got answer like the accuracy recurring process can be automated. You can schedule the automation task. That's great, Sarita. That's an amazing point. You have made a note of it. You can schedule the automation tasks. That's great. And as a manual tester, his roles and responsibilities to functionally test the application, maintain a lot of Excel documents, create a lot of evidences, spend some time on sharing the cumulative report to the client, and especially when the product is about to go live, then definitely he'll be in a hurry to deliver the report, share the reports, because ultimately the customers want to see the evidences of your test execution. Yes or no? Type the letter yes in the chat. Type the word yes in the chat box if that is the case in your project. Because always the client requests for your test evidences. How well you certify that your product is working fine. So as a manual tester, we prepare a lot of Word documents. We prepare a lot of other documents too. Because we have to submit the evidences. Whereas with automation, the process of generating the reports, attractive reports, all these things can be automated and it is easily done. Of course, it does. Some say it's a one-time effort. Yes, it's a one-time effort. But in order to make the framework and the code robust, we have to spend a lot of time on it. And coming to the question of Vijaya, will manual automation testing replace manual testing? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely not. As an automation tester, we are here to enhance the testing process. Automation testers replacing manual testers is a complete myth. It's a complete bust. As an automation tester, I'm here to enhance the testing process, make the testing process more faster, more quicker, more creative. When you start introducing automation testing in your project, your testing process becomes more and more creative. When I say the word creative, you might be surprised. How creative, Rahul? Oh, see, testing is also not only about testing the requirements, testing the specifications and all. It's all about finding the defects in a creative way. With the help, with the power of automation, we can create n number of stars, n number of data, n number of sets of data, n number of automate n number of complex scenarios. On a button click, you can execute the things. If you automate the most repetitive and most complex scenarios, then your scope as a manual tester is to go beyond the range of automated test cases and find more border scenarios, more edge scenarios, and see in which way the software can fail. Because as we are software testers, we always have a pessimistic mentality towards the software. What do you mean by pessimistic? We always don't agree that the software is working properly. How many of you agree with this point? We as software testers are always pessimistic towards the software that we have given to us. We don't agree that easily. We don't agree that easily. As a conscience of a tester, we all say that we don't agree that the software is working fine. How many of you agree with me? Type the word yes in the chat box. I want to know. But the thing is, less amount of time is there to test the application on a dot to dot line. That is where automation testing will enhance your testing process. It does not replace, it enhances your testing process. That is the right word. I hope Vijay answered your question. Where is Vijay? Lost. Wait. Now, let us see the advantages of automation testing. It is reliable. That means it precisely performs the same operations each time they are run, thereby eliminating human error. Repeatable, enabling the capability to test how the software reacts under repeated execution of the same operations. Clear? Enabling the capability to test how the software reacts under repeated execution of the same operations. What do you mean by comprehensiveness? Provides the ability to build a suite of tests that covers every feature of your application. That means what? With the help of automation, we can at least cover the main scenarios or main tests that covers each and every hook and corner of your application. What do you mean by better quality software? Ability to run more test cases in less amount of time with reduced team size. Always highlight this point. Highlight this point. Ability to run more tests with reduced team size. This is one highlighting an attractive point. Please remember this for a while. Then we have reusability, enabling reusability of tests on different versions of application. That means what? Tomorrow you have to do the same testing on a UAT environment, on a QA environment, on a pre-prod environment, on a prod environment, or a set environment. As a manual tester, it will be very difficult for us to test the same application across different environments. That is where automation will come into picture. Even though slightly the UI changes also, we can still use the same automation scripts to run the code. What do you mean by programmability? Provides the ability to program sophisticated tests that brings out hidden information from the application. That means what? Provides the applicative. So that means what? With the help of automation testing, we can unknowingly find some application defects which cannot be found through manual testing. Not major defects, it's just like if the application, the animation part is taking a lot of time, through a naked eye, we feel like, okay, it's taking around 10 seconds for the page animation to be completed. But for automation, that's not the case. If the animation was supposed to be completed in 2 seconds, it will wait for 2 seconds only. After third second, it will start throwing an error stating that it is taking a lot of time to run the code. Then I say fast. That means what? Automated tools run significantly faster than the manual process. That means what? The execution finishes in a blink of an eye. That means the moment you are busy with some other activity, the execution of the code will be completed very quickly. And another eye-catching point, cost reduction, result of reduced team size realized by productivity gains. So if you are a project manager, don't you think these 2 points are attractive to you? Fill in the shoes of a project manager and see, don't you think these 2 points are attractive to you guys? Now you understand why automation is gaining importance in the market. I hope everyone is clear. Vishal, Vijaya, Sujata, Sarunan.
Yep.
Yep. You can give your answers in the chat box. That is more than fine. So these are the 2 points that the project managers or the companies are always satisfied with it. Okay. That is why automation testing is gaining more importance, because for a project manager, ultimately he wants to show profits in the project. How can you show the profits? Reduce team size, more work. Then only you can show profit. If you are finishing the activity with less number of people, you are saving some money for the project. I hope these points are clear. If you are clear with it, then we'll go for the next one. Speed, as I've told you. So what are the points I wanted to cover? As I've just now told you, scope to create a large number of complex automated test cases. That means what? As I've told you, if more number of cases are covered by automation, as a manual tester, you have to create an additional scope of testing the scenarios. Because if you say, in theoretically, if you say that all the manual test cases are being automated, it's your job as a manual tester to create more and more scenarios. There are a lot of scenarios. No application is 100% perfect. No testing is 100% perfect. But with the help of automation, you can always try to achieve that 100% ratio of 100% satisfaction of testing your application. That is what I'm gonna saying about wider test coverage. So when you have written automation test scripts for a same application, now imagine another client is coming for the same product. So you can run the same set of automated test cases on the same product. That is the power of automation testing. Of course, the pass, fail, and all that is secondary, but at least you are in a position to run some tests on the new application for the different client. So again, freeze resource optimization, freeze testing resources from the test execution of software builds. That means what? Imagine, Vijaya, I'm requesting you to wake up by 2 o'clock in the night and you have to do a smoke test. Are you ready to do, Vijay?
I'm not, but I did that.
No. In the current situation, suppose I'm offering you a
Absolutely
job.
not. No.
Anyone interested to do a wake up in the midnight 2 a.m. and with the love towards the organization that is paying you salary? How many of you are ready to do a smoke test in the midnight 2 a.m.?
Mm.
So that is where automation will comes into the picture. It frees the testing resources from the test execution of software builds that are frequently given by the development team. Once your smoke test is ready for that particular product, it will keep on executing on a nightly basis. That is the power of automation testing. So this is how importance of automation is. Okay. So these are some graphs. What is a manual versus automation test execution efforts? This graph is nothing intentional. This is a estimate of hours what we have captured so far. It can be right or wrong, but this is on an estimate. It can be plus minus here and there. So if you see here, the moment you start implementing automation, the graph automatically says that you are saving a lot of time here for a smooth testing or a sanity or a partial regression or full regression. That means you are saving a lot of man hours, and you can save a lot of time also. You can spend your valuable time on some other important testing activities rather than the regular execution activities. Always remember, without manual tester, there won't be any automation tester. Manual tester presence is very, very much important as when you want to automate some scenarios. If one person is doing both automation and manual, then they have to be pretty much sure about the functionality that they want to automate. Clear? Now, before we jump into automation testing, before we jump into the tool and all, so top 5 lessons before we jump into the real show of automation. These 5 points I want all of you to remember. Don't automate a mess. Since you know automation testing, since you know that you're a genius about automation testing, don't never ever automate a mess. Have a clear vision of what you want to automate. Sarita, you want me to signify the numbers? Wait. Yeah, on a scale of 1,000 test cases for a full regression suite, if you want to run the regression suite by automation testing, it will take 16 man hours. When I say 16 man hours, it includes capturing the screenshots, generating the evidences, if it's failing, why it is failing, capturing all the logs and all the statements, inclusive of all that. I'm saying 16 man hours for a full regression suite of 1,000 test cases. If you take a manual effort, without any automation, it will take 160 man hours. That means what if I assume that I'm having 20 employees in the project, 20 testers in the project working on the full day, then it'll cost around 160 man hours. That means generally in a project, when you say the cost is calculated based on number of hours, right? So that is the thing, Sarita. I hope the numbers are okay for you now. Okay. And second thing is avoid complex logic in your scripts. Write the test. Focus when you are automating any scenario. Focus only on the business part and the business validations. Don't create a hell lot of logic. Make sure your business logic is clear, crisp, neat. Tomorrow, if I say 100% automation you have to do, you should definitely say 100% automation is not possible because I cannot automate capture. I cannot automate your biometrics. I cannot automate certain scenarios. I cannot automate audio video process. I cannot do any of such activities. I cannot do visual testing. I cannot automate my graphs 100%. I can automate my graph, but not at the accuracy of a manual tester. I cannot automate SVG based applications. 100% automation is not possible. Even though I say tomorrow that 100% automation is possible, don't agree with it. 100% automation is never ever possible. And beware of automators who don't understand testing. What do you mean by who don't understand testing? If they don't know what is MOV, what is the regression, what is the test life cycle, what is the defect life cycle, if they don't know what is the test case and all, you need to be very careful because they don't understand the testing terminologies. On what basis you can create an automation framework? Because you need to know what kind of a what kind of a design you need to have. Because if you understand the testing process, only based on the testing process and the testing strategy only, you can design a framework. You can design the strategy of how do you want to automate the test case. Clear? And 5, test automation is a software development process. Test automation is not like a magic wand like Harry Potter. No. It is also a software development process, but unfortunately, we are the ones who is developing it. We are the ones who is testing it. We don't have that much of a breathing space to even certify our code. That's the sad part, but it is also a software development process. We also take our time to build the code, build the frameworks, build the strategies, and all the stuff. Is this clear, everyone? And cumulative costs. If you see the graph, this is from a project management perspective. If you see, initially you might feel the cost spent on automation is huge, but over the due course of time, you will see the cost spent on automation is almost nearly the same. What we see here is initially the manual testing will cost less because the amount of work initially will be less. But as soon as the project goes live, the amount of work increases abruptly and exponentially. So that is the reason they started including automation testing so as to save some time, save some effort, and enhance the employee's capability on focusing on the scenarios where we get a lot of defects and a lot of issues. Clear? So I've spent a couple of time on understanding what is this automation all about. I hope everyone is clear what is automation testing, why automation testing, why so automation testers replacing manual testers is a myth, and what are the 5 key points you need to understand while you are entering into the automation field. I hope these points are clear for everyone. Give me a quick guess in the chat box so that I can get a quick confirmation. I request all of you to drop a quick guess. Anyone has any doubts? Costs are this dollars, rupees, tomatoes. I didn't get your question, Sebastian. I honestly didn't get your question. Okay. Now, another famous question that we get. What are the different tools for automation testing that we have in the market? What are the different automation tools for automation testing that we have in the market? Yeah, these are the costs. You can make it in dollars or something like that. It's like a dummy graph. Okay, it's a dummy graph. Okay, Selenium, Cypress, Playwright. Selenium, Cypress, Playwright. So whatever the list of automation tools that you know, just drop in the chat box. Selenium, Cypress, Playwright. Robot framework is not your automation tool. WebDriver I was still not your automation tool. RunnerX is a framework again. Postman is an API automation tool. That is not your automation. Postman is your API testing tool. That's not your exact automation. Catalan, right? Tosca is one. UFT, RPA. Yeah. Rainforest AI test trigger. Yeah, these are all they proclaim themselves as the AI-based testing tool, but frankly, they are not. SiliQ. Anything else? Appium is again part of Selenium, so you ignore it.
Micro Focus UFT or LoadRunner.
Sorry?
Micro Focus UFT.
Microsoft?
Micro Focus UFT.
Micro Focus UFT. Okay, fine. We have 11 tools here. Okay. Now, as a project manager, I'm using automation testing to reduce the cost in the testing. Again, if I purchase a tool, again my cost of the project increases, right? So This is a pay tool. Got it? This is a pay tool. For an individual user, and 80% of the companies are startups and mid-sized companies. I'm not talking about MNC. It's a pay tool again. Robot framework is a framework. That is not part of it because you can do it with the same thing with Java. You can do the same thing with Python. Okay, that is not your automation tool. Okay, it's again a paid tool. There is another tool called as Test Cafe. That is a free tool. This is a paid tool. This is again a paid tool. And this is again a paid tool. You might be wondering, Rahul, Catalan is a free, right? Only the basic features of the tool are free. If you want to leverage the full features of Catalan, you have to go for the paid tool. Okay. WebDriver was also an automation tool, I would say. Yes, I can agree with that. But it's derived from Selenium family. That is, I'm not saying it as a separate tool. It's derived from a Selenium family. That is the reason. Okay. Micro Focus CFT, I'm not so sure, but it should be the paid tool. I'm not so sure, but it should be the paid tool. Clear, guys? Now, well, obvious. Which tool?
So whatever these paid tools are there, so like if anyone want to learn, then without taking that paid services, we can't learn them, or
Yes,
we can't
you will
practice.
have a trial period of 15 to 30 days. After that, you have to enroll for their paid services.
Okay, if we want to do more practice and all.
Yeah, only
Okay.
companies can afford it. Only MNCs for the fund they can support it. But the problem with paid tools, I'll tell you. If you want to do any CI/CD process with this paid tool, you have to connect with that engineering team and another engineering team. They have to sit together and brainstorm, and they have to write a separate code for doing all this. Though they say they are zero coding tools, ultimately someone at the back end is sitting and writing the code for you. You are using their keywords to automate the scenarios. When they say zero coding, they are giving the keywords. Behind the keyword, they have the programming thing that is happening. You got the point? When they say zero coding, that means you need not write even a single line of code. That is the thing. But technically speaking, if you go for any zero coding tool, you cannot achieve the level of automation what we are expecting. Because I personally work with AxleQ tool in the current project. In my current project, I'm working with AxleQ tool. Frankly, I'm not happy with the AxleQ tool because it's a paid tool. And for every small change, I have to connect with them. I have to say, this is my issue. Can you provide this kind of a functionality to me? How many of you like it? Always we want to have something in-house because you'll have a complete thing. And trust me, all the paid tools, whatever dashboard they're saying, they're not even in a way that we can represent the stakeholders. So that is the problem. And tomorrow these things are funded by some venture capitalist. Tomorrow if a venture capitalist backs out of test trigger, whole tool can be down. So that is the thing. Even Cypress is also partially paid tool. You might be surprised, but Cypress is also partially paid tool because there's a concept called as Cypress Pro. If you want to run your test cases on cloud or something like that, if you want to do parallel execution or something like that, Cypress, you have to go for the paid version. Anyways, the Cypress market is completely down now because of the emergence of Playwright. So if you see me partially, I have only 3 freeware tools. One is Selenium, Playwright, and TestKit. Got it? So Playwright, which organization has invented the tool Playwright? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? Playwright, Microsoft. Microsoft. What is one beautiful thing about Microsoft? They can make this tool paid if they feel that more number of users are using this in the next. So Vishal, AI advancing so fast. I will like to throw a word on this. We are leveraging AI. We are not working with AI. We are leveraging the features of the AI. No matter what ChatGPT you are using, what LLMs you are using with Collab or something like that, AI is advancing. That means what? It will give you some code. you will, with the help of AI, the initial kickstart will be reduced. But again, you have to learn the coding by yourself. You have to do the coding by yourself. And Selenium with Java, it is present for the last 20 years. And the community support will keep on growing. And once Selenium 5 is coming into the market, which we are expecting on June, but the Selenium developers are telling like they'll release Selenium 5 in the month of October. Once Selenium 5 comes, neither Playwright, neither TestCafe, neither Cypress can survive in the market. Because Selenium 5 is coming up with some advanced, crazy advanced protocol mechanism that we automate with the browsers. The AI part, what you're talking about, we are leveraging the AI. We are not creating any AI or LLM models. Okay? Always remember that, Vishal. Even the stuff we talk about generative AI, we are using the chat GPT prompts to get your output. Okay? No matter how far the AI is advancing, Selenium with Java still survives. Okay? And Playwright is not a W3C recommended tool. What do you mean by not a W3C recommended tool? W3C is the consortium forum which decides which website is standard, which website should run in the internet, which website is standard, which website has maintained the data integrity and all. And if you say Playwright is not a W3C recommended tool, Playwright does not have its own Selenium grid. It creates a wrapper around the Selenium grid. Okay, whatever the functionalities of Playwright that you see working on, they are deriving from Selenium only. Based on the features of Selenium, they have enhanced some features of Selenium, and they have released a tool called as Playwright. And second thing is not a W3C recommended tool. And third thing is Playwright is pretty new in the market. Around 3 years old it is. If you are working for the new, because
what is Selenium grid? Sorry to interrupt. What is
Selenium
Selenium grid?
grid is something like, now I have 25 people working with me. Now I want to say I want to run 4 test cases in each of your system. So if I want to do the execution in a distributed manner, that is where Selenium grid will come into picture. Okay.
So those like all like 3 to 4 cases on each, those can be different or same cases.
Let's see, 100 test cases are there. 100 test cases can be different, right? You have your 100 test cases. You have 100 test cases in your Excel sheet, right?
Okay.
When we script the test cases, now you can have it in different machines, running them in different machines. And Selenium is 20 years old. Playwright is just 3 years old. And if you want to convert whole of your Selenium framework to Playwright, it does not support. Complete support is not there. If you are working with new projects and want to do POC, then Playwright is want to do any POC, then Playwright is your tool. Okay, Playwright is your tool. Till then, don't go for any Playwright because it's new in the market and they can make this tool paid any point of time. Like Selenium, it supports multiple programming languages, Clear? Python, Java, .NET, etc. Got it? So this is something about Playwright. Now, when it comes to Selenium, let me list down the advantages. Huge community support. First thing is huge community support. Open source tool. A typical open source tool means what? See, Playwright is backed by Microsoft and it's completely funded by Microsoft. But for Selenium, it's an open source tool. That means a lot of developers who are working in some big organizations, they do this Selenium project in their free time and they support this tool. That is why it's a pure open source tool. When I say tool is open source, it does not mean that it will capture your complete data, it will record all your executions, nothing like that. When I say open source, the code is open to everyone. Anyone can view the code. Okay, anyone can view the code, and anyone can say that tomorrow I want to create Vishal Selenium. So I can take a clone of their code, cause I can take the clone of the Selenium code, make some changes and release tomorrow as Vishal Selenium. That is what you mean by open source tool. Supports various programming languages like Java, C#, .NET, etc. Supports various browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, etc. Supports parallel execution. What do you mean by parallel execution? On the same machine, if I want to execute 100 test cases, I want to execute 5 test cases at a time. That is what you mean by parallel execution. In the same system, if I want to run 100 test cases, but I don't want to execute them sequentially. I want to execute 5 test cases at a time. That is what you mean by parallel execution. Can you test also Sebastian? I'm not so sure with the question. Can you test also application with it? I couldn't get your question. Lightweight hardware and flexible to use.
Can we also run a same test case multiple times in the form of a multiple scripts?
Sorry?
Is it possible to test the same test case multiple times parallelly?
Yeah, you can do it. See, same test case. There is in TestNG we have concepts like thread count, to size, and all. We can do all the same test case. If you want to run for 100 times also, you can do it. Okay. Can you test with Selenium.exe applications, not websites? I'm still not clear with your question, Sebastian. If you can unmute and speak, maybe I can understand. Performs cross-browser testing. That means what? I can execute the same test case in Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge simultaneously. That is what you mean by cross-browser testing. Got it?
I think he's asking if we can test desktop applications
Okay.
which we install as
Okay.
a software apart from the web applications.
Selenium supports only web-based applications. That is the agenda. It does not support desktop-based applications. The whole purpose of Selenium is for web-based applications. Okay. There's another tool called as Vinium from the Selenium family to test desktop-based applications, but that was not a huge success and they have dropped it. Okay. From the Selenium family only, we had one tool called as Vinium 5 years back. That was a pilot project and it failed big time, so they stopped working on it. Okay. These are the advantages of Selenium. Here, that is why companies prefer Selenium, because it's a long-lasting tool and the support is continuous. It's not like organization is backing or some venture capitalist is backing. It's a completely open source tool which is backed by some amazing developers across the globe. If you see the GitHub also, let me show you. Yes, that will be covered. I'll be coming to the course plan. Just give me a minute. So if you see here, Selenium is an open source. Tomorrow I can clone this code and I can write the code. And if you see here, how many people are contributing to this repository? 774 people are contributing to this repository and 325k plus people are using this repository. Clear?
Yeah, Rahul, are you sharing your screen?
I've shared my screen. Right?
Okay,
We are
we
just
see the
seeing.
notepad. Yeah.
Can't see.
One moment. Now?
Yes,
Yes.
now visual.
Yes.
Now you see here, 774 people are contributing to the Selenium and 325k plus people are utilizing the Selenium libraries. So a lot of people freelancing and they're working for the Selenium here. And you can see here, you can see multiple branches for the Git, what they're working on. You can see the new release that is coming on 4.30. If you can spend some time, you can see what is the code that are written for it. Clear? I hope I'm clear so far. Yes. Yeah, Shilpa, hold on. That's the next point I'm talking about. Now, for the course that we are talking about, this is Selenium with Java. So first, let us see what are the contents of Java that we are discussing now. Next. So we know what is Java. It's a high-level object-oriented programming language, a robust platform-independent application. So, okay, just give me a moment. This is the wrong slide I opened. This is not the slide. Now we're able to see the screen, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, variable declarations, string functions, string builder, string buffer, conditional statements, the basic print statements, looping statements, constructor, method declarations, switch, enums. We'll be starting with this core Java basics. And followed by we'll be discussing about arrays, 1D array, 2D array, 3D array, array list, vector, stack, linked list, set, hash set, linked hash set, map, hash map, tree map, DQ, sequence collections, queues, and more. Okay. Inheritance and interfaces. Like what is inheritance? What are the different types of inheritance? What is a super keyword? What is a super keyword in constructors? What are the different types of inheritance? What are the different types of interfaces like normal interface, functional interface, marker interface? You'll be seeing all those things. And we'll be covering a dedicated sessions on what is lambdas, what is streams, what is the Lombok expression, because in today's automation market, you need to be, this is mandatory for all of us, like to know what is lambdas, what is streams, what is Lombok expressions. If you don't know any of this, don't worry, we'll be covering everything in this class step by step. And we'll be seeing how do we write the data to the file, reading the data from the file, copying of files from one location to another location, the different file functions. Got it? Then exception handling, try catch block, finally block, multiple catch blocks with one try block, checked versus unchecked exceptions, compile time versus runtime exceptions. So handling the errors at the runtime. So this is called as an exception handling. Clear?
Yes.
So there's another concept called as optionals and records. So how do we use optionals for automation testing? Records, sealed inheritance and interfaces. So based on the Java concept that we teach, we'll be providing some programming questions that they have asked in multiple interviews, like in one of the few of the companies where my friends have attended, where I have attended, where my other colleagues have attended. We have been collecting all the questions for you and we'll be giving you the practice questions for you. And at the same time, we'll be having a breakout session. What do you mean by breakout sessions? After every 10 classes, we'll be giving you an assignment within the class where you have to solve the assignment within that hour right in front of me, and you have to share the solution to me so that we can have a peer-to-peer review there, and we can also see how others are coding, and we can also learn the concepts on the spot. If you feel that you're struggling in that concept after solving the example, then we can have a discussion of why you're struggling there, and we can also clarify your doubts too. So we have interactive breakout sessions and quizzes for all the Java topics. In order to not make it like a one-way show, we'll also provide a lot of questions for topic wise so that you can also practice all these points. I hope everyone is clear with what are the topics of Java we are covering. Guys, any doubts so far on what topics of Java we are covering?
Actually, how much of Java is required for
We
Selenium?
are
Usually,
discussing only 20% of core Java. Initially, you don't need any Java. You can come with an open blank mind when you are attending this course because I'll be teaching you step by step, right from the software installations and all.
yeah, but my question is from a different perspective. Like, usually we hear about competitive coding that the runtime complexity have to be lesser when we do some code, when we write a
And
piece
like
of
you are
code.
say talking about O of n, O of n square, O of n log n, that kind of time complexity you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is
Is
called
that
as time complexity. That is called
yeah?
time complexity. So I'll just give a briefing about it in the sessions, like what is the time complexity and all. Generally, that will be asked when you're going for an SDAT or SDET. SD roles or a SDET roles. When you go for an automation roles or automation architect roles, that those things won't come into picture. So we'll be discussing the concepts of Selenium, like we'll be seeing how do we create a Maven project? What is how do we add dependencies to the Maven project? What are the advantages of Maven? What is Maven profiling? How do we trigger the test cases through Maven? What is the concept of a properties file? And we'll be seeing the Selenium architecture. Any automation tool that we pick up, the first and foremost thing that we have to follow is the architecture of the tool. We'll be seeing what is the architecture of Selenium 3 versus Selenium 4. And we'll see how do we launch the browsers via different apps, via Chrome, via Firefox, via Edge, via Safari. How do we launch the browsers via Chrome, via Firefox, via Edge, via Safari and all. Clear? Then we'll see how do we create a new tab, create a new window, how do we launch multiple windows and tabs, how do we switch between windows and tabs, and how do we launch the tabs via JavaScript. Then we go for locators, like how do you find element by ID, by name, by class name, by XPath, by CSS selectors, by link text, by partial link text, by tag name. And there are some advanced locators also, Selenium for relative locators, to above, to below, to right of, to left of, near, straight above, straight below. There are some Selenium for locators that we have. We'll also be discussing this along with the regular locators. Then we'll be seeing the different browser actions like click, send keys via card, select, get text, finding multiple elements, get attribute, is displayed, and is hidden. What is this? What is the clear? How do we get the CSS value? Getting the tag name, area role, how do we handle the web tables and calendars? Then we'll be discussing the three different types of weight: implicit weight, explicit weight, fluent weight. And if you want to write your own weight libraries, like I don't want to use the predefined explicit weights, I want to use my own explicit, my custom weight conditions. So how do we define it? Then we'll be seeing the different actions class. Actions is some advanced library in Selenium where I'll be seeing how do we click on an element, how do we double click, how do we send keys, perform send keys. Context list means how do we do a right click, move to element, click and hold, drag and drop, and other operations. Then we'll be discussing about some JavaScript functions like how do we scroll down the page, how do we generate the alerts, how do we refresh a page, how do we perform the send keys operation, click operation, how do we highlight the element. We'll be discussing all some JavaScript functions that we regularly use as part of the Selenium. Then we'll be discussing how do we capture browser screenshot, element screenshot using A-shot. This is another external library. Monte recorder is used to record the executions. This is not much use, but I can demonstrate one video recording of how do you record an execution. Then how do you switch to frames? By name, by ID, by element and all. Okay. Now we can also discuss shadow frames, upload and download of files. What are the different Chrome options, desired capabilities? How do we kill the existing browsers via command line? How do we handle the sliders, browser related pop-ups, browser authentication via has authentication library in Selenium 4? So any doubts, anyone with respect to the Selenium topics? With respect to Selenium and Java topics, anyone has any doubts? You can unmute and you can speak.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. So I wanted to know how much time would we take to complete the
We
Java concepts?
Java would take around 20 to 25 classes because I spend a lot of time on Java. Because if your Java fundamentals are clear only, then we can put into framework design or any automation. So I'll be spending around 20 to 25 classes for Java only because the requirement of a Java from an automation engineer is gaining more and more on a regular basis, Visha. Not only for Java,
Okay.
even if you go for any programming language tomorrow for Python or JavaScript or TypeScript also, the expectations are more and more for a automation engineer. It's not only with
Okay.
respect to Java. So any
Uh,
programming language, we have to spend a lot of time on the programming language so that you will get to know some latest enhancements, latest things and all.
okay. And in our company, they expect page object model structure
That
like
is a
the
different
framework.
thing. Yeah, in order to achieve all this page object model, you have to be very strong with your core fundamentals. So that is why I'm spending some time on core fundamentals.
Yeah, so you will be covering page object
Yeah.
model?
I'm not yet done with what are the contents I'll cover. With respect to Selenium Java, I just asked. Now I'll be showing what are the test ng concepts I'm covering. Writing test cases, annotations in test ng, dependency between methods and parameterization, other test ng attributes, event firing decorators, parallel testing, how do we group the test cases, data provider, listeners. Like data provider means how do you pass the test data via Excel, via CSV, JSON, hard-coded data. And we can also see some popular listeners of TestNG. Then we'll be covering some extensive concepts on Cucumber, like how do we create a feature file, scenario outline, data tables, runner files, preparing the scenario name based on the tags, parallel testing, Pico container, Cucumber annotation, sub class, background, step definitions, and all. Clear? Hook class background, and how do we integrate Cucumber with JUnit, and how do you integrate Cucumber with TestNG. Cucumber with, yeah, kind of lot to cover only, yes. And also we'll be covering some exclusive API testing concepts. We'll also be covering Postman and Rest Assured. So with respect to the course content of Postman and Rest Assured, I'll be showing you a separate content for it. I couldn't put this in a small slide, but I'm assuring you that we'll also be covering Postman and Rest Assured concepts with respect to API testing. And we'll be seeing Excel operations. How do we add the POI libraries? How do we write the data to the file, updating the data, reading the data? How do we use the Excel operation for our data provider? Cell styles for formatting the data. Okay.
Will Jenkins integration to
Wait.
automate the
Yes,
execution of the
those will
scripts
also be covered. Jenkins will be covered. Docker will be covered. Those all will be covered.
and basics of Git?
Yes,
I
those are
mean,
also
like,
will be covered. I'm not yet come to that point. Only with this slide is about test engine Cucumber. So this now we'll also be covering properties file. How do we add Apache Commons library, reading the values from the properties file, writing the values to the properties file, maintaining different files for different environments, real-time usage, creating a master slave mechanism. Okay. Then we'll also see how do we generate the extent reports. And we can also see how do we generate the Allure reports. Via TestNG is the popular one. Via Cucumber is outdated one right now because they have not given a new release for the past 2 years. But just to showcase how do we work with Cucumber, I can showcase you that part. Then we'll also be covering some different styles of frameworks like keyword-driven, hybrid, linear, modular, BDD approach framework, data-driven. We'll be also covering different designs of frameworks so that you'll understand. Like with testing, I'll be demonstrating you a data-driven framework. With a Cucumber, I can show you a BDD approach plus hybrid-driven framework so that you'll understand what kind of designs that we have and how can you work with it. Clear? So any doubts so far with this point? And we'll also be covering the Git fundamentals. How do we merge branches? How do we commit the code? What is reset? What is hard reset? What is soft reset? All those concepts will be covered. And also I'll be covering Jenkins from scratch. How do we schedule the jobs and all? And if also possible, I'll show you how to configure the email and how do we run the Docker images and all. And also at the same time, I'll be covering some JDBC concepts. I'll be covering some fundamentals of database and JDBC concepts. Yes, Shilpa. We are planning to cover in 45 to 50 days. That is the required target. But in the last batch, what we have taken around 55 to 60 classes to cover the course. We say that the course every day we spend around 1 hour, but gradually we increase the course. And every day we spend around 70 to 90 minutes as the class duration. Like initially we spend 1 hour per class, but initially I increase the duration to 70 minutes to 90 minutes based on the topic that I take. In the last batch that has been concluded yesterday, we have taken around 50 to 55 classes to close the course, because this is the integrated course, Shilpa. We are not teaching separate concept. Whatever concept we are learning right now, I'll have to integrate it in the framework design. So framework design starts from day one. I'm not going to teach you framework design right in the middle of the course. Now, suppose we are learning a Selenium concept. You have learned it. How do you create a generic method? How do you put it inside a framework method? So the day one, when we are discussing Selenium, from there onwards, your integrated learning will start. Till Java, it will be like standalone course only for Java. Once Java is completed, in a regular day-to-day life, you will be saying how do you use a constructor, how do you use the OOPS concepts and all. ECT, I don't understand your point, Sebastian. I'm so sorry. When the course will be after ECT, I'm not so sure. So Shilpa and all, this question, whoever is having the question, European Central Time. So you can talk to, I'll give you one number, or you can post the same question in the group. You can get your timings as per your time zone. I'm not the right person to, I don't know which time zone, which time you're having currently. For the people who are having the same question as Shilpa, you don't worry, guys. We'll be covering all the whatever topics have showcased here. I'll be covering all the concepts in an integrated manner, so that the feel of developing the framework will be like a day-to-day activity. It is not like something you can achieve it in 1 day or 1 week. It is like a day-to-day activity, and no framework is perfect. Trust me, it's a regular process. Every day you have to sit and keep on improving the design. Even when I teach you the concepts also, even every day I'll feel like this design is not right. I will say that this design may not be right because this can be the loopholes, and I'll help you see how you can change the design in the middle of the show. That is all. That is what we do it here. Doubt session, yes, you can connect with me after the class or when you're practicing. If you feel like you're stuck while practicing, you can drop a message on the group or in the personal window. I'll reply to that query immediately. Or if I'm in some of my office meeting or office work, once I'm free, I'll reply back to your messages. After the session, you can connect with me for your doubts. Or if you feel like during the middle of the practice, you feel like you're unable to solve some question, you just drop a message in the group or in my personal window. I'll clarify your doubt there. Okay. So anyone else has any doubts?
So no spaces will be allowed, no special characters. Without that, you can give anything.
Ravindra, I hope you're not speaking. Okay. Anyone else has any doubts? Anand, Sujata, Avinash?
Yeah. So this like Postman and REST assured, it will be like at basic level or more than that?
With the Postman knowledge that I'll be sharing with you,